I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I know who I am. I'm a dude disguised as a dude playing another dude. That seems to be the MO of the Democratic Party. Democrats in general. I'm a person disguised as a person playing another person. We see that. We're seeing it throughout the campaigns. Shout out to everybody watching. Drop your comments down below. Smash the like button. And if you kindly would, hit the subscribe button down below as well and turn your notifications on. So the Harrison Walz campaign called in the past week, they called in Barack Hussein Obama. They called in the Messiah. They said, Messiah, we need you. We need you to resurrect our campaign. And it went as good as you would expect, because Obama ran in 2008. And the energy towards Obama is no bueno. People are waking up. People are waking up.
Was just making stuff up. You'd at least give him a talking to. And you sure won't put him in charge of anything. So, you know, I didn't mean to get so serious. But when I hear about this stuff, I start feeling like we don't have enough of a sense of what's at stake here. These aren't ordinary times.
He goes on to shame particularly black males and the black community in general, saying there's not enough energy. There's not enough the same energy around Kamala Harris as I ran 2008 and 2016. Of course not, hombre. Of course not, because Kamala Harris ain't you, and you ain't Kamala Harris, and people are waking up. And I'm going to jump into a video because we've been talking about Barack Obama, and this is an older video. This video was filmed on the PBD podcast about 11 months ago, and it is Joe Brown exposing and telling the truth about Barack Obama. In this video that I just showed you, Barack says, hey, you got to vote for Kamala Harris because she looks like she looks like you. She went to the same schools like you did. She grew up in the middle class, blah, blah, blah. She didn't do any of that. If you're looking at my video series, or even Candace Owens' video series, she didn't grow up in the middle class. Quebec, Canada, went to a pretty high, lavish school. Her mom was a researcher and a physician for cancer. And Barack over here also wasn't raised in the middle class, nor was he raised in the black community. He just wasn't. His mom was white. His dad was black, but he was adopted. He was adopted, and his name is Barry Soetoro. Barry Soetoro. And he also went to a well-established school and lived in a well-established neighborhood. Let's jump in to Judge Joe Brown talking about the one, the only Barry Soetoro.
Yes, but he has no mama, no daddy, no aunts, no uncles, no grandparents that went through the black experience in the United States of America. Now, I'm 76, but I can remember my mother used to be a librarian with Tuskegee Institute. I remember one time when I was 5, we were driving from there during the summer to visit some of her relatives in Jackson, Tennessee, and we made the mistake of starting off too early. In those days, if you were black, you traveled at night and slept during the day. It just wasn't safe. And anyhow, my old man had this olive green DeSoto. And my mother was fishing in the glove compartment, and she asked me sitting in the back to hold her Coke. So she loved her Cokes, Coca-Cola. So I've got the bottle sitting on my knee, and plunk, the bottle shatters, and then I hear the gunshot, and there's Coke all over my leg, and I'm looking at this bullet hole. My old man was decorated. He was at Bastogne in World War II. He was telling me about it. So I said, somebody shot at us. He said, I know. My mother said, son, just get out on the floor. She was calm. So I'm more worried about her getting mad at me because I broke her bottle of Coca-Cola. But anyway, see, Obama has nobody in his family that went through anything like that. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of crazy what the problem is. I'll go to another one, birthgate. The Constitution of the United States defines citizenship in two places. One of them, he qualifies. All he has to have is an American parent. He can be born anywhere in the world. He's American citizen. The other one is a little bit more interesting. It deals with running for president or vice president. You have to be born on American soil. State, territory, protectorate, military, naval base, consulate, or embassy. Bad news, Republican Party. Cruz does not qualify because he was bragging about being born in Canada. That disqualifies you. If you read the Federalist Papers, they tell you they don't want any sleepers sneaking in and taking control of the government, see? So you have to be born on American soil. Consulates and embassies have a lot of things where women rush to have their children there when they can't get back so they could qualify for that. We have a very interesting person everybody's heard of, Winston Churchill. He was an American citizen because his mother was from Chicago, an American heiress, and his father was an English lord. He renounced his citizenship so he could become Sir Winston because America does not allow ennoblement under the Constitution. But he was an American citizen. That's one of the reasons he had such a fan club, but he couldn't run for American president because he wasn't born on American soil. Now, if you, there you go, it was just up there. If you are born in American Samoa, the Canal Zone, Puerto Rico, you can run for president. But now, here's the problem. Obama released a birth certificate when he was enrolled in college, and it lists on there the room number, the phone number of the pediatrician who did the delivery. It noted his mother was 18 years, 3 months, which meant she got knocked up at 17. And she was a citizen of Canada, and it lists all of the details. The phone numbers were working ones, so that's one birth certificate. But he's in the White House for 18 months before he gets one from Hawaii. Now, the problem with that, I see, is two people that were on my show worked on my show first couple of years were from Hawaii, and they needed the passport because they were going to take a trip. So I'm in my office in the headquarters for the show, and I made the phone call to the Department of Vital Statistics in Hawaii and had them expedite the delivery, and they got their birth certificates in 48 hours. So if I can do that back in 2000, to hell with the President of the United States taking 18 months to do it. Mm-hmm. See, I don't buy it. The other thing, too, is where he went to school. Now, 20-some years ago, more than 20, my now ex-wife wanted me to send my oldest son to one of the same places over there. In fact, the same place He went to school, and when I checked, I said, this boy is not earned this because the tuition, not including room and board, was $95,000 a year. And I talked to two people, one of whom worked out in Hollywood and one I met in Hawaii some time ago who bragged about going to school with Obama. And they said the tuition when they went there with him was $45,000 a year, not including room and board. A little rich kid. So his father, Lolo Sotoro, was an interesting person. He was international executive vice president for Standard Oil. He also, that guy on the left.
This is apparently Obama's father, you're saying?
This is his adopted father who adopted him when he was about 2 years old. Now, he is an interesting person. He also was a major in the Indonesian army from 58 to 1962 or 3, and he ran the death squad. So there was allegedly a warrant out for him from The Hague for mass murdering or being responsible for killing 500,000 people back in the late 50s when he ran the death squads. We studied this in comparative international law back in the late 60s. I remember that guy. I had no idea he was connected. But anyway, as vice president for Standard Oil, at the time in question, it was believed that Indonesia sat on the world's largest oil reserves. So Standard Oil wanted to get into that, but they couldn't under American law, so they propped up their vice president financially. He ran the death squads, had a lot of muscle, so he wound up becoming the oil tycoon for Indonesia. And when he died, he was one of the richest men on earth. Now, he supposedly died from the cumulative effects of 3 separate automobile accidents, which basically came from the fact he was a master spy. The U.S. protected him because at the time, he was running the spy operations for the CIA as a contractor in China, North Korea, North Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. And remember the NAMs going on at this point in time. George Herbert Walker Bush ran the CIA under the Ford administration, and George Herbert Walker Bush was cousin to his wife, Obama's mother, and Obama's mother's father, Obama's maternal grandmother, was first cousin to George Herbert Walker Bush. So the family relationship in there, they all had fun and games from Bush's experience with his CIA connections when he ran the CIA, and Lolo Sotoro, and also through his second cousin who was married to him, and also through the father-in-law to Sotoro who was his first cousin. So it's an interesting little filial family relationship that they have. Now,
sir, does this all date back to the Sam Hinckley situation that you brought up?
Sam Hinckley. So
what the hell is going on here, by the way?
I mean, I could sit here all day, and I vote for him. He should run for president.
1,000,000%.
So here's the other thing. Want to get another one?
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is a cousin to these guys.
Now where Hollywood's involved, the CIA, president, Oval Office.
Warren Buffett is a cousin to this bunch here.
So they're connected. So this is a connection.
Sam Hinckley had some sperm that had a cape. Everyone had a cape, you know.
Obama and Brad Pitt are cousins, 9th cousins to be precise.
Yeah.
On the campaign trail last year, it emerged that the two share a common ancestor, Edward Hinkman, who died in Virginia. Is that part of the Hinckley family?
Yeah, that comes
what
from
the
Hinckley.
F
So they're
is
all
happening right
Judge,
now?
they're all connected.
Virginia
So no matter what, these guys they run the show. And they're all connected.
You see this thing where Michelle and George W. get to giggling and he gets the candy? What I hear from the inside sources is that's the same candy that he used to give to her husband when he was a kid. Now, there's a picture I stumbled onto that you could Google, but you can't now. And when I ran into it, he was still in Illinois in the state house. And what that was about was there's a picture where Lolo Soetoro is standing up with a golf club. George W. Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, soon to be president of the United States, is standing up with a golf club. And then sitting in a golf cart with his arm around a 7 or 8 year old kid standing next to it is George W. Bush, and the kid is Lolo Soetoro's adopted kid, Barry Soetoro, soon to be Barack Obama.
Wow.
So are you saying that Obama met the Bushes when he was a kid?
Yeah, they grew up together. They used to hang around.
So if you like this clip.
So, as Judge Joe Brown openly states, gives a little bit of a history of Barry Soetoro. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because Barry Soetoro, baby Barack, has been in the news lately trying to revitalize Kamala Harris's campaign. Now, we're going to jump into a video from Candace Owens further kind of exposing Barack Obama. But before we do that, be sure that you guys smash the subscribe button on this video. And it has come to my attention, if you guys could kindly watch this next video. It has come to my attention that some of the subscribers that have clicked notifications on the videos are not receiving notifications on the videos. We all know YouTube specifically doesn't necessarily jive with this type of narrative content. So if you kindly would, check out this video on how to appropriately set up your notifications so you can get notified every time that I drop a new video. All right, we're going to jump into Candace Owens here. Candace Owens, thank you guys so much, by the way. Candace Owens further exposes Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama.
All right, guys, let's get into some stories. So Barack Obama is back making the rounds. Okay. He says that Black men should be voting for Kamala Harris. And I just think that I have a lot to say about this. I think that it's time. It is time, Black America. It is time for us to revisit Barack Obama in general. And I know, okay, it's a sensitive subject. I know this is one of those things where me, the messenger, is definitely going to get shot because none of us were awake back in 2008. So when people were pointing out some oddities about Barack Obama, right, everyone was quick to go, oh, that's because of racism. Like, that's like, come on, this is absolutely happening because you just don't like him because he's Black. And I count myself among them. I have to always remind you guys, like, I was a liberal or left-leaning. I never actually voted for Democrats, but I too thought that anybody that was saying anything about him was racially motivated. I cried the night that Barack Obama won. But I want to be clear. I've grown up since. I've got 3 kids now. I'm married. I'm seeing the world through a different way. I realize what the media is, and I realize how they really do think that Black people are stupid. And in the retrospect, there were definitely some very weird things about Barack Obama. For example, and this is just a fact, back in 1991, when Barack Obama was completely unknown to the public, he was working with a literary agency that was named Acton and Distal, okay? They were tasked with promoting his first book, which was a book that was meant to be entitled Journeys in Black and White, which actually never wound up being published. But in anticipation of his book being published, they were promoting Barack Obama and other authors that were on their roster. And they promoted them in a booklet, which they distributed to people in the publishing industry, like, hey, here are our authors that we want you to publish. And in the booklet, they included a biography of all of their clients. And this is the biography that they included of Barack Obama. Okay, take a look here. It says, this is real, 100% real. Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review, was born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. The son of an American anthropologist and a Kenyan finance minister, he attended Columbia University and worked as a financial journalist and editor for Business International Corporation. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the whole concept of, like I said, that's 100% legit. The whole concept of whether or not he was born in Kenya was not coming out of racist ideas, right? It wasn't because people were just trying to delegitimize him. It was because he had a literary agent And that literary agent published a pamphlet, and that pamphlet said that he was born in Kenya. And then suddenly that changed, and they were like, no, never mind. He was born in the USA. That person who published this never gave an answer for why they wrote that. They tried to say like, oh, like that maybe the literary agency just wrote that. Why would anybody just write that you're born in Kenya? It's like a weird thing to write. Okay. It doesn't matter in the scheme of things. He was already president for 8 years, but it's good to go back on that. And then of course there was this other odd thing that happened. Like he did, by the way, grow up in Indonesia. That's a fact, right? He, like, at the first 8 years of his life were spent in Indonesia. His mother moved him to Indonesia, and he went by a totally different name. He went by the name Barry Soetoro. Here's an old clip of journalist Matt Meager from Inside Edition revealing that truth. Just so you know, these were not conspiracies. Okay, take a listen.
As Senator Barack Obama has made his run for president, some have questioned his background, particularly the 4 years he spent as a child in Indonesia. He was educated in 2 schools, first a Catholic school and then later a public school. Matt Mahar traveled to Indonesia to take you to both of the schools the candidate attended.
This is the Assisi Catholic Grammar School in Jakarta, Indonesia. And Barack Obama is on his way to becoming its most famous former student.
Barack Obama.
The only record of Obama having attended the school is this old register. And look, it lists his name as Barry Soetoro. That's the name Obama took from his Indonesian stepfather, Lolo Soetoro.
Okay, so whatever you make of this, what we know is that Barack Obama was, first and foremost, right after she gave birth, his white mother is the person that raised him, okay? Her name is Stanley Dunham. There she is, right there. That is Stanley Dunham. Okay, he never lied about this. He did not grow up in a household with his Kenyan father at all, Barack Obama Sr., whatever. He was raised by his mother, Stanley Dunham, and then she married a person who worked for the Indonesian government as a geographer. She married Lolo Soetoro, and Barry Soetoro was born. You know, he then moved to Indonesia. He went to school in Indonesia, and then he gets sent back to Hawaii at the age of 10. So for the first 10 years of his life, I'm just going, okay, like he was not exposed to Black people at all. He was exposed to Indonesians, and then he gets sent to Hawaii to get raised by his exceedingly white grandparents. Here's a picture of his grandparents. That's Madeline Dunham and Stanley Dunham, the person whose mother has the name of her father. So then, yeah, he is in Hawaii as well. And in case you didn't know this, he was extraordinarily wealthy. You probably could figure that out by all of us moving around. That's why while he was in Hawaii, he was enrolled in a private school. He attended the Punahou School, where tuition is for grades K through 12. Tuition is $31,000 per year. That's today, so you can account for inflation, okay? But that's where his grandparents enrolled him, okay? So it's important to note also that in 1970, when Barry Obama got to Hawaii, there were only 5,925 Black people in all of Hawaii, okay? And it's worth noting that 80% of those, north of 80% of those 5,000 Black people were in the military. He was not exposed to Black people at all, is what I'm trying to make the point. Okay, he had literally not a single part of his upbringing was he around Black people. There were no students, no Black students at his very expensive private school. Okay, there's no Black people in Indonesia. And really, for those of you that haven't been to Hawaii, it's still like, it has nothing to do with America. It feels like we just took Hawaii and we're like, yeah, you're America. When you go out there, you're like, okay, this is like its own thing entirely. They look more Asian than anything else. And they're kind of a little pissed off that we took them, if we're being completely honest about Hawaii now. So he went there. His mother went to a school that the same one that his dad went to in Hawaii, the same one that his stepdad went into Hawaii. Really kind of feels like he was a part of some weird military program. And then after that, after going to his $31,000 per year private school in Hawaii, he goes to Occidental College in Occidental University or college, whatever it is, in California for 2 years, where he roomed with a white guy for the first year, white guy with blonde hair. He's written about it for his freshman year, and then moved to live off campus in his sophomore year with a Pakistani for 1 year. His dorm mates have described him as doing a mean Mick Jagger impression. Literally, I know I've heard the name Mick Jagger, but I had no idea that he was the lead singer of the Rolling Stones until today. I was today years old when I learned that. I'm just saying, I understand, like, people grew up in a household that listened to rock and roll. I didn't grow up in that household. MJ was not Mick Jagger for us. It was Michael Jackson. The whole reason we're doing this series is because somebody came for the Jacksons. That's the kind of household I grew up in. So then Barry Obama met and dated a woman in his sophomore year. Her name was Alexandra McNear. You might remember she's the one that released the letters that Barry wrote to her where he talked about his homosexual feelings. Like he says, like he makes loves to men in his mind. And so he had like homosexual inklings. He then went to Columbia University and still dated Alexandra McNear and was writing her these letters at that time. Anyways, I'm just thinking like, what part of Barack Obama's life gave him the authority to tell Black men how to act Black in America? That's what I'm asking you. What part of his life? Was it Hawaii? Was it Indonesia? Was it Alexandra McNear? At what point did suddenly like Barry Soetoro become the person who gets to tell Black men how to act in America? Because that's exactly what he's doing now. That's exactly what he has been doing. Is just because like once you do a photo op with Jay-Z or Diddy, suddenly like you're just like handed an award and gone, okay, now you're Black. Now everybody in the Black community has to listen to you. Because that's what it seems like. His history and his background is equally as shady as Kamala Harris's, if we are being frank. And they're bringing him out to essentially whip Black Americans into shape because, oh, they gave him the Black card. So now Black people better just listen to Barack Obama. So here he is suddenly lamenting the fact that Black men just aren't energetic enough for Kamala Harris. Take a listen.
Is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
The brothers.
So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all right and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. So you have to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
I'm sorry, Barry Soetoro, but you are going to have to sit your ass down. I got somebody. I got to tell him right now. That's what Barry has to sit his ass down. This is like she understands the struggle no more than you understand the struggle. Both of you, okay? How does this work? Again, Barack Obama was raised by three extraordinarily wealthy white adults. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that he is not genetically Black. He has been honest with the fact that he didn't know his dad, okay? His dad died, I think, when he was in college at some point. He never was raised by him, was never raised around Black people ever. That's fine. But why are you speaking to the brothers? Like, when did it become the brothers? What is this? How do three white people raise a strong Black brother? I want to know. Is it like grandma and granddad Dunham raised him to be a strong Black man, just like Kamala's Indian mother raised her to be a strong Indian woman or something? Like what's actually happening right now? This is so insulting. And I am the most insulted by this, by the way, because I have dealt with years, the Black community telling me that I'm not Black because I voted for Trump. Like, you're not Black because you're a Republican. Why? Because I see through this stupid BS, this dumb game of thinking you can whip Black Americans with some hip hop music, with a Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage, with Jay-Z and Beyonce marching at a BLM protest, and suddenly King, Queen, LeBron James sending out a tweet. Like, that's literally supposed to motivate me to vote, because I can see through the BS. I look up these people's background. I'm going, what about you is culturally Black? Barack Obama is not culturally Black. I'm sorry. It's time for us to accept that. Like I said, I was moved by him too in 2008. I thought, oh, okay. Like, I really didn't understand his background. And I questioned people who questioned him. But we have to just come to terms with the fact that we have been being played by Democrats for a very long time. And the reality is he is just as shady in terms of his background as Kamala Harris. I am a firm believer that they are breeding politicians. His background is almost too similar to Kamala Harris's in terms of literally no relation to the Black community, having so much wealth, and then as if they went through a school of what it is exactly that they should say to relate to the brothers. To relate to the brothers, to relate to the sisters. Oh, a little bit of Cardi B. I can't, okay? I'm sorry. I'm done with this. And I am actually very happy that Black men seem to be taking a larger leap away from this. I hope that Black women will follow suit and recognize this, to see how ridiculous it is that a woman who is saying she's washing greens in a bathtub and a guy who's suddenly calling Black people brothers, despite having literally no introduction to what it means to be culturally a Black person in America. I hope that we all can become awakened. But I'm very grateful that Black men seem to be holding the line. Like, I am with that 100%. All right, guys.
There you have it, guys. There you have it. Full history of Mr. Barry Soetoro. Shout out to PBD and shout out to Candace Owens for this. And Joe Brown, Judge Joe Brown, dropping the gems on the PBD podcast, talking about Barry Soetoro's history, and then also Candace Owens. What do you guys think about this identity politics? What do you guys think about it? I think it's ridiculous. That's just what it is. It's ridiculous, especially because particularly the Democrats do this dog and pony show to relate to particular people. Kamala Harris is pulling out accents out of nowhere. I'm super excited to hear her do the Vietnamese or Korean or Asian accent. You know, we've already seen her do a Southern. We've seen her do so many accents. She has like 9 different varieties of saying, "You better thank your union member." Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Hit the like button, smash subscribe, share it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.